I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the program. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania for another update from a group of the 59ers, the first cohort of South African refugees under President Trump's program to relocate to the United States. We're using pseudonyms and no camera once again because of the atrocious behavior of media and the fact that many South Africans who've come over still have family, relatives, interest, business, property, things like that in South Africa that's being undermined by hate-wanking journalists and social media clowns. I want to say welcome and to both my guests here, Ernst and Sonja. How are you doing today?
Oh, we're good. Thank you, Colonel. How are you?
Good, thanks, Colonel.
I'm older, another day, and that's always a good thing. So we never take that for granted. At some point in life, probably about the age you turn 38, you start thinking about that. And I don't know if you guys have reached that stage, but I've certainly passed the age of 38 by a couple minutes, so I think about that. But let's get started right in this. Okay, so you guys are among the 59ers, the first group that came over.
Yes, that's correct. And also, we were part of the first group. We were very privileged to have the honor of coming to America. So we are very blessed in that sense.
Well, I wouldn't say privileged. I'd say you were fortunate or lucky.
Yes,
I hate
definitely.
I hate that word privilege because it's misused. And certainly in the context of refugees, it's being misused back in South Africa. People claiming you're not legitimate refugees, that this is all fake. It's a PR stunt. Well, let me say this to you guys. If it's a PR stunt, it's going pretty well for you guys, isn't it?
Definitely. We have definitely been on the receiving end of some good news. So we feel that we are very blessed. That the program is definitely something that we have no doubt about. A lot of people have asked us in this last few weeks, do we have any regrets of coming? Do we regret the decision? And I can say with 100% certainty, not at all. If I could go back, I would do it again over tenfold.
Well, it sounds like you've had a pretty good experience thus far. Have you been successful getting Social Security numbers?
Yes, we have received our Social Security numbers. We were able to get an appointment pretty early on, and it took around a week for us to actually receive the cards in the mail.
Now, you guys are located somewhere in the Midwest, of course, an area that I know very well, having lived throughout the Midwest over the years. People in the Midwest tend to be very friendly and polite. It also tends to be, much of the Midwest tends to be a very overwhelmingly white populated area. Is that, in fact, the case where you had a lot of white folks and not many other folks?
There's a lot of white folks over here, but I can say folks from all walks of life, if you meet them, they are just overwhelmingly friendly, and that's a very good thing.
Well, I agree 100%. The reason I asked the question in that fashion is because as a South African minority that typically goes to the mall or goes to the grocery store, you probably find yourself in a very small minority of people, not a lot of other folks that look and sound like you around you. But now you probably are, is it a weird feeling seeing so many folks that look similar, have the same sort of appearance? Does it feel odd is what I'm getting at?
No, it definitely feels odd, but it feels good being part of the majority again.
Yeah,
if that's what we're getting at.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at. I mean, not from a standpoint of race, but from a standpoint of, you feel as a minority. And I know I've lived all over Africa as a minority, and I've lived in housing projects in America as a minority, and not that it really ever fazed me, but when you shift from being a minority to being in the stark majority, things are different. You don't even realize it. It's just around you. Things are different. That's what I was getting at. So where you guys are at, are you enjoying your experience thus far?
Definitely. We have been fortunate enough to be put up in an apartment. Very nice neighbors. Yes, unfortunately, they evicted us from our tent. They told us we're no longer allowed to stay there. We are bothering the wildlife, so we had to move from our tent into a wonderful little 2-bedroom apartment. So When we arrived, the apartment had furniture in. We had cupboards stocked with food. Our fridge was stocked, everything. So that was very, very nice.
Now, one of the burning questions that many people have is, and I'm sure you can answer this, did your FEMA tent come with aircon?
So unfortunately not. They told us we had load shedding. So no. So
I don't think Americans have
unfortunately,
ever heard the term load shedding.
yes, we had a severe power outage. No. Unfortunately, our tent wasn't one of the ones with air conditioning. We at least had a ceiling fan in our tent. It was advanced enough for that. So we were very blessed with that.
Plus, the aircraft hangar in where the tent was placed inside also had huge fans, so we kept cool.
That's my question. How exactly are you erecting these FEMA tents in an aircraft hangar with a concrete floor? I mean, where do you drive the stakes in at? You don't have to answer that question. No, look, guys, we're making light of this because the stupidity that's being spread about the refugee program and about what's going on from the very outset. I mean, the stupidity of South Africans who hate other South Africans with their nonsense talking about FEMA tents. They don't even know what FEMA is. It's just comical. And so I think the 59ers have really latched onto the FEMA tent thing. And these guys have a good sense of humor, and I appreciate that. But guys, so you've got there, you got an apartment. Were you in a temporary space, a bed and breakfast or a hotel before you got in your apartment, or were you able to go straight into an apartment?
They could at least place us in our apartment straight from the airport. They drove us to our apartment the following day. So we arrived quite late. I think we got here around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning. So they dropped us off. They showed us the basics of things you aren't really used to in South Africa. So
like electricity and paved roads?
exactly. So they showed you how to switch on the lights. It was very strange for us because if you actually flip the switch, a light really goes on. So that was quite a strange thing to experience. You have electricity here on demand. It's not something you have to wait for. So at least that was a nice change. But the people that assist you, they will honestly go through every little thing. Like it's even though it's something you are used to, like showing you how a microwave works or how a stove works. They will show you that just because they deal with people on a daily basis that really don't come from a country that they actually have stoves or they have microwaves. So they will go through those things with you. And at the start we thought, like, do these people think we are like actually dumb? But it's just what they are used to. So you
How the shower works, and we couldn't get hot water.
yes, we couldn't get hot water the first morning because they didn't show us how the shower works.
You turned it the wrong direction.
Yes. So
I experienced that in South Africa a lot because it's never consistent.
no, it isn't. So that was the only funny thing. So they will go through everything with you. It's not that they think you are dumb or incompetent.
No.
It's just that is their procedure. They have to do that. Absolutely. So we were placed in our apartment that same night or same morning arriving. They left us after they showed us everything and showed us that there was food in the cupboards. One of the volunteers actually made us dinner as well. So she just brought that in like a takeaway box so we could have dinner. We didn't have to make anything. But after all of those hours of flying, I promise you the last thing that we had on our minds was food. So so we slept for a good couple of hours, and then the next day they actually came. It was our case manager and then our case director as well, and they had a psychologist with them, and then just one other person that was there to observe the interview. So they come to you and they ask what your expectations are, and they ask if you are happy or satisfied with the apartment they have put you in. If you aren't, they will look for for other accommodation. It's not like they stick you somewhere and you need to stay there. You have options.
Look, I got to stop you right here. I have no less authority than South African media telling me that you live in a tent. I mean, you're telling me that you were offered an apartment, and if you didn't like it, you could have said no, and they would have got you another one?
Yes. So
No.
that's quite.
No.
Yes. So
Okay, that's fake news, folks. I don't believe it. She's lying. She's lying. No. Sorry. I mean, look, we just this. Look, your experience is great to hear, but I mean, you get my point. The nonsense is being spewed in South Africa about this program.
no, definitely. There was a lot. So we didn't expect that at all. We were also under the impression you come here and you whatever you get, that's what you have to be happy with. But that is the further thing from the truth. So they asked us if we were satisfied, if there was anything else we needed. They're very attentive. So for instance, if we had a problem with the stairs or something like that, they were willing to move us to a place that either didn't have stairs or some place that was on a lower level. They were willing to accommodate our needs. So that was also very, very surprising, but very nice. A big change from hearing that you're going to stay in a tent to actually getting over here and you see that these people are here to help you.
So,
The funny thing is, Chris, they are not used to Afrikaner people because, our genetics, we are born with big calf muscles, so they thought that we wouldn't be able to handle the stairs.
well, I've got to ask you this question, Ernst. So, how are the walls? I mean, how high are your walls around the apartments, the houses? Is there a lot of concertina wire? And was your security system working? And who's your security company respond for? I mean, how many break-ins have you had since you arrived 6 weeks ago?
Chris, we actually have the SWAT on speed dial, and we have a 32 feet wall right around the apartment.
You've already switched to standard American equivalent. He didn't say meters. He said 32 feet. That's excellent.
I'm actually very good of the imperial system because, as you know, I used to work with mechanical equipment, and then there's a lot of places where you have to use inches instead of centimeters, and your sockets on the imperial system and stuff like that. So,
all right. Well, I need to fix something very quickly here. If you're going to be Americans, if you're going to live here, it's not the imperial system. That's British. We kicked them out in 1776.
We use freedom units over here.
No, that's a good name, but we call it Standard American Equivalent, SAE. Okay? All right. But seriously, so obviously, let me ask you a question about that, Sonja. I mean, was that a bit of a shock? I mean, you probably expected there wouldn't be walls and gates and, and guards and things like that and concertina wire. But did it surprise you? And what's that feeling like, not looking over your shoulder or staying awake all night?
So I think the biggest surprise for us is you expect America is going to be safer, but you don't expect America is going to be this safe. So we actually made a little bit of an error on, I think it was our second day here. So we went out for a walk, just tried to explore our neighborhood. So we didn't realize how late it was. So we were walking around on the sidewalk at 9 o'clock at night, and we didn't even realize. We thought maybe it was like 6, because something that might surprise a lot of people is how late it gets dark here. So we only see any sign of darkness at around 9:30 at night. So we didn't think much of it, and then when we looked down at our phones, we realized we are walking on a sidewalk. We just walked underneath the bridge at 9 at night. Where is that possible in South Africa? You can't even walk in front of your own house at 9 o'clock at night. You will be in serious problems. But we actually had a joke with some of our family. So we showed them the people that live across the road from us. They have a fence. It's not a high fence, but it is to keep their bunnies inside. They have 3 little
Rabbits.
white rabbits. Yes, so they keep their bunnies inside of a little fenced area there. So it's very, very different. You are able to go into a store here. So the Walmart close to us stays open till around 11. We haven't had the guts to go there at 11 at night yet, but we are starting to stay out later and later, just to experience the safeness. So the people here, it's crazy. Sometimes I want to like just shake someone and be like, you can't be this careless. So we walk past a Corvette that someone left idling on the side of the road. They went into a Walgreens. They were there for maybe 15 minutes and they came out and their car was still there. Like, how is that possible? You have
Well, but
children playing.
that may be a temporary thing, because once the green zealots from the climate change religion find them leaving their carbon burning vehicles outside idling for 15 minutes, they'll steal the car.
They will be in serious problems. But another thing that surprised us was the children. So on the same street we live in, there's a house with 2 little boys, maybe around 4 and around 2 years old. And the first day we walked past their house, I was actually scared for their safety because they are running around playing on the grass in front of their house. There's no fence. There's nothing to keep them inside. There's nothing to keep people from reaching them. And the parents are busy in the garden, but they aren't close enough to the kids that I wouldn't be comfortable with it. Honestly, I would be scared to death if I was in South Africa. But here it's the norm. You don't have to watch over your little ones like a hawk. You can let them be kids. They don't have to worry about they can't play on this piece of grass or they can't go to the park. We have a big park close to us that has like a fountain and a basketball court, and it's the kids are there's like 60 kids playing there, and you think to yourself how. And some of them, they walk to the park on their own because they live close by. They go, they do their thing, they play a little bit, and then they walk home completely alone. There's kids riding their bikes here in the streets and no one is bothering them.
Well, I need to be very clear for my audience, because this sounds very idyllic, and it is, and it's also true. But there are places in America that are dangerous where you don't leave your kids unattended. Inner city locations in some major metropolitan areas, all of course run by Democrats in most part. But there are some places in America where it is not like South Africa, but you just can't have that kind of carefree attitude. But most of America is exactly what you're talking about. I can do the same thing here. I mean, my neighbor has a 3-year-old and a 20-month or a 22-month-old, almost 2-year-old, that run around. Now, she doesn't leave them unattended, but I mean, they run around. There's no fence, they don't go in the street. They know not to go in the street. They've already learned that. And they're always out there playing around. And it's great to see children allowed to be children. And I think that's probably what you're latching onto, is seeing kids able to be kids. And that's an amazing situation. You don't see that in South Africa anywhere.
No, you don't. It's a complete opposite of South Africa. I wouldn't feel safe even if I had my neighbors' children running around outside or riding their bikes outside. I would want to keep an eye on them because I'd be scared for their safety. But it's completely different in South Africa. So, and in America, you can do that. It's fine. There's no problem doing that. So, but in all honesty, I would say, so at the start it was quite a change for us. We actually wedged a dining chair underneath our apartment's door for the first around 3 weeks, because there's no safety gate. There's nothing that is, it's a wooden door that's stopping someone from getting in your apartment. And the funniest thing is you don't need to worry about that. You have to be, of course, you have to be aware of your surroundings and take into account where you are. But just as you said, the states that are a little bit more Republican, I think you are definitely, you don't need to be as aware of that. So I think if people are scared of coming to America, because yes, definitely America still has got its problems. It's not the like a perfect country, but it's definitely safer than South Africa. I can guarantee anyone that.
Enough of that fake news. This is a perfect country. It's God's green acre. Nothing wrong. We have no problems here. No, actually, we do have problems. Every country has problems. Anyone that thinks countries don't have problems doesn't understand human beings. So, Ernst, I want to ask you a question. So far, about 6 weeks, what's been the oddest thing for you? No Droorvorst, no pop. Thank God for that. No biltong.
I don't miss pop at all.
Okay, I'm with you on that. But what's been the
I
strangest
miss
thing for you?
Droorvorst.
Yeah, I've got a little bit in my fridge. Don't tell the customs immigration people that. but seriously, for you? I mean, there's got to be something when you arrive that's just got to be weird and different that you had a hard time adapting to, or you're just like, whoa, that's crazy. What's been the strangest thing for you so far?
Chris, I saw a comment here now because obviously I'm viewing the live stream comments as well here on my phone. And I saw a comment about car guards. The funny thing is in America, you don't have car guards. And I really miss having a head-on race with the car guard towards my car because you always see them running like Usain Bolt towards your car as soon as you get out of the shop with your trolley. So I really miss that. Another thing that I miss is potholes. I think my driving's going to get a bit worse over here because now I can actually drive straight. Driving is actually boring in America because you can drive straight. You don't have to dodge a hole every 5 meters. So that's the stuff that shocked me.
Okay. So, you guys were talking about the light. I got to be clear about something, too, because, the 59ers have arrived in the summer, late spring, summer. They've arrived here in May, which is late spring, really upcoming summer, which is officially the end of May. And so wherever they are in America, they're in good weather, so to speak, as well as warm weather. But the winter will be coming. We're going to talk about some of your good news relocating here shortly, but you're going to relocate to a place that's going to, in my view, be a little more comfortable in winter, but it's still going to be chilly. But when I went to Germany in 1984, and I went to my unit after I arrived, after in processing, went to formation at the end of the day from the unit, and we finished the formation, and I went to my squad leader, and I said, Sergeant, can I go off post? He goes, yeah, sure. I said, are there any restrictions? Because at the time, if you went to Korea, you couldn't go off the base. You were only restricted to the base as a soldier. And he said, no, you can go wherever you want. Just be here at 5 minutes to 6 in the morning for PT, physical training. I'm like, okay. So I left. I went out of the gate, and I had a little bit of Deutschmarks on me because we'd already converted those when we were in process. And I walked around town, and I didn't pay attention because it was new. I was discovering, kind of like you guys are doing, walking around. You didn't realize what time it was. And I'm just discovering things, and I got hungry. So I stopped and got something to eat, and I didn't realize the time. And I went out and walked, and I looked at my watch, and it was 10:45 at night, and the sun was still up. Now, I say that because Europe is much higher latitude, so they have longer days in the summer than even here. The days that you're experiencing with the light still being around at 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, that's summertime. When the wintertime comes, it's sun's going to go down a lot sooner. That's why we have daylight savings time. So I just wanted to share that story with you. And also, it's kind of like a kid in a candy shop, isn't it, Sonja? When you're walking around, you realize, my gosh, look how late it is, and the sun's still up.
Definitely. It was such a shock for us. So we have spent a few days where we have just explored our neighborhood. We've gone to the park. We've actually visited quite a lot of monuments as well. Something that's completely foreign to us because you can't have a monument in South Africa without it being destroyed or vandalized. And here it is wonderful. So even something that surprised us as well, and it's a little bit morbid, but like the cemeteries, like you can't drive past the cemetery in South Africa and it's overgrown. Like the headstones are vandalized. Like you can't visit someone's grave because it's too dangerous in some areas. Like you can't go to their gravesite. And here it is the complete opposite. We actually took a video of it because it was just so strange to us. Like the grass is kept short. Everything is in pristine condition. Like it's crazy. It's strange to think that there's actually people that like take care of those like cemeteries, and they make sure that no one vandalizes anything. But the other thing is, no one actually would vandalize them. But it has been very strange. We have just wanted to experience everything, and you. So our first thing that made us a little bit giddy was if you go to Walmart with the self checkouts, we were like, these people trust us. Like we're not gonna steal anything. Like that was crazy to us. How can you have someone like scan their own items, pay, and then leave the store?
Well, there are people who steal, and unfortunately, we have shoplifting. That's an issue, and it does affect retailers. But they have found in the end that it's cheaper for them to have the self checkout than having people waiting in a queue, in a long line, a traditional checkout, and also having to pay a lot of cashiers. So they made the business decision that works out. But yeah, it's great that they trust people. You know, it's at the discount clubs like Costco and BJ's and Sam's Club. That's the three big ones around the country. Those discount clubs, they typically look at your receipt when you walk out, and the idea is that they're looking at, because like you go, it says number of items, and they look in your cart to see if you have the number of items. But the reality is that it's just really just there to kind of remind people that, hey, don't steal. But isn't it refreshing to be able to do something like that? Just go and check yourself out, because I don't like people bagging my stuff. I'd rather bag it myself.
No, definitely. That was a big change for us. But as you said, it is refreshing. It is something that definitely you will need to get used to. Something as well that I don't think a lot of people consider is I know a lot of people say South Africans are friendly people, but I wouldn't take anything away from the Americans. We have, as well, it depends where you are and who you are surrounded by, but we have had people from mobile stores that as soon as they hear you are from South Africa or you are from another country, we didn't even tell them we are refugees, and they want to just try and help you out. Like they would put like a screen protector on your phone for free, something like that.
Wow.
Something as Yes, something as stupid as that. It's crazy. You can't like people will go out of their way to try and help you. It's something completely foreign to us. So a lot of people have also worried about the price of food and stuff like that. And we have heard that we are going hungry or something like that along those lines. So that is also, it's actually very funny if you are here, but for the people still in South Africa, that's something you don't need to worry about. So you get assistance, yes, but then also there's food banks all over the place. If you go there and you present a form of identification for them, so we presented our passports, and then they will actually give you a box of food, and you don't need to pay for anything. They have a section that has like clothes or toys for the kids or like books and stuff like that, and they will literally just give that to you. You can't go anywhere in South Africa and get anything for free. That's crazy. I don't want the people to take advantage of the system, but just know if you come here, you do have support.
Yeah, you talk about the food banks. I was going to mention that because that's the thing. When this story came about the family that were out in Montana saying that they were starving, they didn't have this, that, and the other, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. We have food banks all over the country. Here locally, we have a food bank that services over 30,000 people, low-income families, and people with not enough food, retirees, on fixed pensions, over 30,000 people in a county of 580,000 people. I mean, that's about 8% of the county. The total population is getting food, and there's no questions asked. You just have to go in and register there, and you come in. It's not like you have to show your tax documents to prove that you're poor. And the good news is it's mostly just poor people not taking advantage, but utilizing it. But, I'm going to have to take advantage of what you said. That I didn't realize that because, my mobile phone here, the one I take to South Africa with the dual SIM card, the screen protector cracked the other day. I actually cut my finger. So I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to say, hello, can you help me? I've broken my screen. Perhaps you can help me here. And maybe I can get a free screen protector.
I promise you, if you come and visit the site, I promise you, we can hook you up with someone that will definitely be able to assist you. Like, people are so nice this side, it's crazy.
No, I've heard this about the Americans. They're so nice and so kind. And, I'm standing here beside myself, confused about what's happening to all these foreigners in America. You South Africans, what are you doing here? What are you coming over here for? Anyway, but seriously, no, that's pretty clever. No, but it just shows the hospitality and friendliness. I was shaking my head earlier when you talked about South Africans being friendly, and people might have assumed that I was talking about them not being friendly. But I knew where you was going. You were going to talk about the friendliest Americans. Generally speaking, Americans are the friendliest people on the planet. I've lived all over the planet on several continents, and I can say it hands down. That's not just because I'm an American. It's just that the generosity of Americans is beyond the pale. And it's just amazing how Americans are attacked by elites and by the media and politicians for their own purposes around the world and lying about us. I mean, guys, not to get into this topic, but, we've given South Africa $8.1 billion for the past 22 years to fight HIV. And without that, there would be millions of South Africans who would have died. And now that President Trump has said, hey, you got to grow up and take care of yourself, people are attacking us. It's really disappointing considering how generous Americans are.
No, Colonel, I can also testify to that. I know there's a lot of websites and that do surveys, and they came out with the story that South Africa is the friendliest country in the world. South Africa has nothing on our experience so far over here in America. America is definitely the place where I have experienced the most friendliest people so far yet.
All right, well, let's shift a little bit more to your experience then. So you got here, you got Social Security cards, you got an apartment right away, you were in contact with your refugee assistant agent the next day, your pantry was stocked with food, you're walking around at 9 o'clock, kids on the streets, what's going on here? You guys had some things you wrapped up in South Africa. You were able to bring a couple of dollars in your pockets. You didn't come completely empty-handed. Were you able to find transportation, or are you relying on public transportation?
Chris, I actually bought a nice Ford Bakkie.
What? You got a Bakkie? I don't have a Bakkie, man. I want to be a refugee. What the heck is going on here? Free screen protectors, free apartments, nice people in Bakkies? Man, I'm in the wrong business.
And I like the fact that Sonja can now hold my right leg while I drive and not my left leg anymore. So that's a nice thing because she sits on the other side of me.
Okay, so, I'm not really sure what the reference with the left and right leg is. We'll leave that unquestioned. But okay, I appreciate you.
No, Colonel, really, it's been such it's nice for us being over here and going for your learner's test at license stations, going for your drivers, everything is such a nice experience. You get greeted with dignity over there. In South Africa, if you go to a license department, everybody's rude to you. You feel very hostile over there. So I don't know what's the issue that people have with American people, because really you guys are just the friendliest.
Well, you talk about driver's license, and so I had an Ohio driver's license because in the military, I'm not forced to change my license. But normally, when you're not in the military, you move from state to state. We have a law to protect the military, so we don't have to get 35 different licenses. Anyway, so I had an Ohio license when I retired from the military. Even though I'd lived here in Pennsylvania for 4 years, I still had an Ohio license. But now I live in Pennsylvania unless I move, so I have to get a Pennsylvania. So I went to the licensing place, and I spent about 16 minutes there in order to fill the paperwork out and go get a photograph and be issued a license on the spot. There were 14 machines at a commercial facility that's contracted by the state of Pennsylvania to issue driver's license in that one building in a converted mall. And that's one of hundreds of locations around the country. But in South Africa, you have one machine, and there's 690,000 people waiting for a license. Quite a difference, isn't it?
No, that's definitely correct what you're saying. They can also even to get the title of your vehicle put on your name. So in South Africa, it's the NATIS documents or the NATIS documents, however you want to pronounce that. But it takes weeks in order to just receive that. Here we went in and it took us less than 5 minutes to get a new title.
And number plates.
Everything, and number plates.
Yeah, it's amazing. And for every state's different because they're their own sovereign state. But here in Pennsylvania, I don't even have to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles to renew my registration. I can pay for 1 year or 2 years. And in fact, the letters are right here. They've just come for my truck and last month, and for my car just came this month because they're 1 month apart. and I just go online and it's done in 2 minutes and I pay my fee and it's good for 2 more years. The only thing I have to do is Pennsylvania does have an inspection requirement and I have to schedule that with a local shop, and I go there and get that done, and it's a piece of cake. They put a sticker in the windscreen and never deal with the state at all. Never go and deal with the bureaucracy. It's just amazing how when things work, and I guess you're experiencing that where you're at now.
Yes, it's definitely everything is. It happens too quick. Actually, I went for my learners, and I had to drive 45 minutes to another place to go and register the vehicle and then get my number plates and everything. And I did my learners and everything that I did within an hour. And we had to drive 45 minutes to another county because the county where we are at now, they didn't have number plates in stock because it's quite a busy license department.
Because they're selling too many cars.
Yes.
All right, that's interesting. Okay, so you guys do have some news. Folks, you're listening to a conversation with those in the 59ers, we're calling them. I'm going to make some merchandise for the 59ers and see if people want that. But the 59ers, the original 59 South Africans who came over in the refugee resettlement program. My guests are Ernst and Sonja, not their real names, pseudonyms to protect their identities from the haters in South Africa. And so we're talking about things here. Now, you guys had some news, and this is a question that's come up many, many times in different forms. Well, what if they send me to Arkansas and I don't want to be there? Well, they chain you to the ground and you can't go, and they put a monitoring device on you. You're stuck there for the rest of your life. Not.
Yeah, ankle monitor, chain around your neck.
Exactly. No, not. The point is that you can move. Now, your case, you're actually going to move. Let's talk about that, and then I've got some questions unless you answer them in the course of your discussion. So, Sonja, tell us about this. How did this come about? You've been there for 6 weeks and you're leaving, but it sounds like you like the place. Why would you move?
So we actually got a very, very good job offer in another state.
Wait a second. Wait. No, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this fake news has got to stop. I mean, I heard there's no jobs in America. That you're just going to be car guards. What do you mean a good job? Is that like a car guard at a casino? Is that a better job?
We are actually car guarding Rolls Royce. So we work there. No, can also, yes, we have been fortunate enough. I need to say fortunate because it's a great opportunity that we have received an offer, and we are actually in the process of packing. We will be leaving the state we are in now, actually in a few days. So we will be moving states. I know it's illegal, and you can't do that as a refugee. And as you said, you have to stay in the state you have been placed in for the rest of your life. They already.
Imagine our ankle monitors are going to beep when we start driving out of the state. That's funny.
Oh, you guys are too much.
Yes. So, but no, we are moving. We didn't. We thought it was going to be a much harder process, actually. But the state we are in currently is a wonderful state. If things in the future, if we get another opportunity this side, I'm not sure if we would move back from the state we're moving to now. We have quite a lot of friends already in that state, so we are moving there, and we are starting our new jobs in July. So that's going to be quite entertaining, quite exciting, because we have gone completely stir crazy with just having to sit around and do nothing. So that's going to be fun.
So it's considerable distance from where you're at to where you're relocating. That's all I'll say about it. I mean, it's not an hour drive. It's quite a distance across the country from one spot to the other. So how did this job opportunity come about? I mean, did you go to Indeed.com? Did you search on the internet? Did somebody get in touch with you? How did you find out about this job? And how did you get hired? Did you do the interview over Zoom or did you do a FaceTime call? How did this work?
So we actually got the listing online. So we just looked at a couple of websites and we found the listing there. We contacted the agency or the company, let me rather say that, contacted the company, and we did a Zoom call with one person, and they actually phoned us back the following day to do a second interview. So after we did 2 interviews with them, they sent us the paperwork, and we have received job offers. We have accepted them, and yes, it's very, very exciting.
It is pretty exciting. Now, I better clarify something because somebody actually asked a question. I'm sure that the Independent Online or Cockprot 24 will probably be watching this and falsely report that we said you have to wear ankle monitors in America. Ladies and gentlemen, that was sarcasm. We are joking. You don't wear ankle monitors. You're not restricted in travel. So I had to put this disclaimer out now because I know that someone will make false claims. Look, Colonel's lying again. He's always lying about it, man. Okay, so there are no ankle monitors.
Cockprot 24.
Yeah, Cockprot 24. That's what I named him. Okay, so you got these jobs. You both got a job. That's pretty cool. Now, here's the irony, and this is important to point out. We've talked about this offline. Neither one of you are in agriculture. However, you applied for a job in agriculture, and that's where you got your job. So we didn't bring you over here as farmers, which is falsely reported by all the South African media. You actually came over as non-farmers, which was the vast majority of people in the 59ers group. And now you're going into agriculture. Is that correct?
That is correct, Colonel. So I actually grew up on a farm, but Ernst has
whoa. So,
never...
so you're born my sea. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So Ernst has actually never lived on a farm, so this is going to be completely different for him as well. He's actually from a big city, so that's going to be quite fun.
Well, listen, Sonja.
What's very funny
Go ahead.
is the other day you spoke to Herman, and we made a joke about it. So Herman used to be on a farm, and now he's in a city, and I was in a city, now I'm going on a farm. So...
Well, that is pretty funny, and it's ironic. It also just points out the stupidity of fake media being lazy. So, Sonja, I just want to say very quickly, you do have my number. If Ernst can't hack the farming thing, being a Bordermeisie, get in touch with me when he's gone, okay?
I will definitely keep that in mind. Thank you, Colonel.
All right, but seriously, guys. Okay, so far, but look, it's not all roses. I mean, there's obviously some things that are frustrating. I mean, I love South Africa, but I get frustrated by things when I go there. Is there anything for either one of you that's maybe been a little frustrating or hard to adapt to so far?
Chris, sorry, I have to learn to keep on saying Colonel. Colonel, the frustrating thing for me is the case worker at the refugee center. He's also been a refugee a couple of years ago, so his English is not so good. So the only frustrating thing for me is the language barrier we have with him. So that's basically it. The rest of the stuff is roses, and the roses smell good over here. So you guys shouldn't be scared to come. You will be looked after, and stop watching all the news from Cockprot 24.
That's a good advice. What about you, Sonja? Anything that's a little frustrating so far?
I think the only thing that is frustrating from this side is honestly hearing back from people in South Africa. So we have been contacted through family, through friends, on X, and there's so much misinformation. It is ridiculous. We have had to correct so many people, and that's why it's so important for people to go and watch all of the videos you have done on the refugee program, on previous refugees, everything, because there's so many questions that are asked over and over and over. And the problem is, as soon as there's one person that thinks they know what they are talking about, even though they have no clue what's going on in any refugee program, if they're just a self-proclaimed activist or a self-proclaimed professor in this refugee program, even though they weren't a part of the first two groups to come over, they don't have any knowledge of all. They have never even been to America. And they spread misinformation to prevent other people that really want to leave they make them so scared. Like, there's so many people that contact us that are scared. Like, we heard that there's school shootings every single week. I don't know where you get that from, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Things are blown out of proportion. You know, and again, you know, as a veteran, I hear millions of homeless veterans, even from people who mean well, but we don't have millions of homeless veterans. We have about 18 million current veterans in America, and the number of homeless is relatively small, but they are out there. Most of the people who claim to be homeless veterans are, you know, stolen honor. They're actually not veterans, claiming it because they look for sympathy, put a sign up, homeless veterans, so people give them money. But there are genuine homeless veterans, but there's no need for them. We have programs that can put people in a hotel and in temporary lodging and into permanent lodging the same day, and it's free. It doesn't cost a penny for veterans. So people tell these stories about America all the time without really knowing what's going on. It's very frustrating that they do this. But I mean, that's the world we live in. People like to spread nonsense. It's very frustrating. So let's go back to this whole process for you guys, because you talked about some of the videos I did. Now, from the very outset, the lies were told about this program. So as we've already alluded to, you're not farmers, but you're going to go into agriculture now, but you didn't come over as farmers. The program, as I said from the beginning, was for Afrikaners suffering unjust racial discrimination. And I'd hoped, I said on the 7th of February, and on the 10th, they confirmed it, that it would include racial minorities or ethnic minorities. So, in fact, can you confirm that on the first group of 59, there was a colored couple with children that came over with you guys? It wasn't just white folks, was it?
It wasn't just white people. There was definitely coloreds there as well.
Yep, and that's
It wasn't. It wasn't. Not a racial program. It's a minority program. It's not just for white people. It's not just for farmers. It's a lot of people also are under the misconception that you have to be under a certain age. I don't know where they get that from.
I don't know where that came from. And that question was asked here earlier tonight. I don't know where. And also this question, I mean, people fundamentally misunderstand this. And let me explain this before you guys jump in, then I'll get your thoughts on it. This is not an immigration program. Get that out of your skull. It's not immigration. It's not asylum. Asylum is for people legally in America who are terrified of returning home because they face threats. That's asylum. And that's a different process. Similar, but different. It's not immigration. You're not immigrating to America. Yes, in effect, you do migrate here legally, but you're not an immigrant. You are given special protected status, legally recognized by the U.S. government under our law, because your life is in jeopardy. That's what this is about. And we don't go, okay, all right, let's go to the camps in Kenya. Oh, you're blind, you can't come. You're 82, we can't make any money from you working, you can't come. No. It doesn't matter about your physical ailments, your medical condition, or your sexual orientation, or your ethnicity. You just have to qualify. And in this case, you have to be a South African national, Afrikaner ethnicity, or a racial minority, having had previous cases of racial injustice or a legitimate fear of future persecution. And that's it. And so Indians, coloreds, whites, and even some blacks potentially, we don't know yet, but there could be some black South Africans actually qualify for this. I mean, you know, Referenza could argue he's an Afrikaner. I mean, but guys, I mean, does that make sense to you, and is it in track with what you believe?
Definitely can also. We have actually told people, like, the people that came over with us. It was people from all walks of life, people from farming backgrounds, people from non-farming backgrounds. There was babies. There was an elderly couple. Like, there's no, they don't discriminate against you in any sense. If you are 90, I am sure they will find something for you to do, but they won't keep you out of the program just because you are 90 years old. And another thing that people have, I think, a lot of questions about is the medical. So they think if you have some sort of illness like cancer or something like that, they're going to exclude you from the program just because you have that.
Well, the thing I find most comical, Sonja, is when people say, well, can I get medication? Are you freaking serious? This is the world's pharmacy. We produce virtually every medication on the planet. We develop it. Then the Indians copy it and sell it for 1/10 the price, and after we bear the cost. But every medication for every ailment, every disease, it's over here. I mean, that one's the one I shake my head. Well, will I be able to get my diabetes medication? Well, yeah, it was all developed in America. Good Lord. That stuff drives me nuts. Okay, let's go back to the beginning again. So you guys, how did you first hear about the refugee program? And what was your first step? You were obviously one of the people to send an email into the PRM. When did you do that? Why did you do that? And then how long did you wait before you got a response? Was a response by email or by phone or both?
Colonel, so we actually watched your video. We have been following you before the refugee program even started. And as soon as you put the video up about the refugee program, we immediately started looking into it, seeing if there was any way to contact the embassies. So we actually messaged or emailed quite a few different emails that we could find, like any email for any type of. So we even sent an email to USCIS before there was even actually they released an email for the PRM emails. So. But as soon as it was released, the email, we sent another statement of interest to that email address. So from the email being sent to actually hearing back from them was around 3 months until we heard anything back at all. So you made a video about people that were being interviewed. And we actually didn't think that we would be part of the program because till that point, we hadn't received any feedback at all. So we received a call first that just wanted to confirm our details. And then they sent an email that's very same day to confirm the time and the place. We went to the embassy for the first interview. After that interview, we actually thought that we were going to be excluded from the program in total because you sit there, you tell them your story, and the people that work there, I don't think a lot of people take into consideration that's their job. That is what they have been trained to do. So they listen to your story, and not all of them are going to show emotion or cry about your story or act like it's the worst story they have ever heard in their life. They might think that, but they can't show you that much emotion. They didn't take any paperwork from us, even though we took paperwork with us. And just for that reason, there's fear that creeps into the back of your mind. So you think, oh, we didn't qualify or whatever the case may be. So we didn't hear anything back for around 2 weeks. Then they gave us another call and they actually scheduled our second interview for, it would have been the end of May. So on the it was actually a public holiday. It was a
You say
Thursday.
the end of May. Do you mean the end of April because you came over in May?
No, the end of May. That's
So it
when
was
they
originally scheduled. Okay.
Yes, it was originally scheduled for the end of May. But then they gave us a call. It was on a public holiday. It was a Thursday. And they wanted us to come in for an interview, our second interview that Friday. But at that point, we didn't have our passport yet. It was ready for collection, but we hadn't got around to it. So we just explained that to them. They were very understanding. So they asked us if we could maybe just pick it up on Friday and then come around that Monday. We went for the second interview at the embassy Monday, and they immediately scheduled our medical and our interview at the consulate for that Tuesday. So the following day. So we went to Sanson for that. We did the first part of the medical, which is your vaccinations, your doctor's check, your vitals check, and then the blood draw as well. And in between there, we went to our interview at the consulate. And then we had to drive back to the hospital for our x-rays. So they are very understanding. They're very willing to help you. We did receive a little bit of, I would say, backlash at Santon Center, where you have to go to take pictures so you can supply to the medical for the medical paperwork. So you have to take passport size photos with you for the medical. If you don't, they will just send you to another store inside of Sands Centre, so you can just get those passport size photos. So at the place that does the photos, we actually experienced a little bit of a problem. They called us white trash.
Are you serious?
So yes, promise you.
They're lucky.
We
They're
were
lucky. They're lucky I wasn't there because they wouldn't have any teeth.
yes. So we just went about our day. We got the photos, took it to the medical office. At least they are very nice to you. They don't. If they knew about the program, if they knew that is why we were there, they didn't let on. So everyone was very, very friendly there. We went to the interview at the consulate, and that is, in my opinion, the scariest part. So you are separated. Like all the adults are taken into different rooms, and they interview you separately. That is just because you are put under oath, and you have to attest to different questions they ask you. It's not. It's not something like they're gonna ask you about your tax, or they're gonna ask you about something. It's just basic questions for the safety of the American public. So if you have any affiliations, and you just have to reiterate your story. And something as well, if anyone is thinking about making a story up, or just trying to yes, basically fabricate a form of persecution, don't do that.
Never, never, never lie. You will be found
No, I
out,
promise.
and you will isolate yourself and never, ever be able to participate in this program. Never lie to an investigator, and an omission is a lie as well. If they're asking you about something and you have information that's related to it and they didn't ask a direct question, it's better to share than not share, because later they come back and say, nope, you don't qualify, you lied to us.
I actually spoke to people that asked us, how did we get approved? Because they went for interviews as well, and they never heard anything back. And you can immediately hear from the story that I tell you that they told the consulate or the embassy, sorry. You can hear that they lied about stuff. Don't lie to these guys. They track your eye movements and all that stuff. They know body language, and they know how to detect a lie.
Well, I got to interrupt for a second here. Look, there's a number of ridiculous questions being asked in the chat, and honestly, I'm going to address this very quickly, guys. So just give me a second here. So, why are you asking if there's 2, 3, or 3,000 interviews? What does it matter? Are you not going to participate if you have to go to the third interview? Some people did third interviews. Thea had 3 interviews. So why does it matter? What does it matter whether accommodation is paid for, other than the fact that you're going to have to come up with the money? We'll get to that question in a moment. Why are these questions matter? Either your life is in jeopardy and you got to get the fuck out of Dodge, or it's not. This isn't destination shopping. If you're here for destination shopping, you're in the wrong place. You can go somewhere else. This is not for destination shopping. I appreciate people asking questions, but you're asking questions that immigrants ask, not people who are desperate straits who are refugees. We'll do our best to answer these questions, but some of these questions are ridiculous. Now, a question that wasn't so ridiculous, I'm going to get to that, then I'll get back to you guys, is Loretta asked a question, says, what if I have no story? How many times do we have to tell you the qualifications? Past instance of persecution or a legitimate fear. Obviously, you must have a fear or you wouldn't be considering this program. Articulate your fear and why you're afraid. There's your story. Case closed. End of discussion. Please go to za.usembassy.gov and read the plain language English explanation for who qualifies. I've explained it 80 billion times. And that's not directed at Loretta. That's just directed at anybody that's asking that question. It's not rocket science. Guys, am I being too sensitive here?
No, I think a lot of people have the mindset of, honestly, they want to move because it's going to be a better life for them economically. And this isn't what the program is about. It is about you are fleeing a country that you are scared to live in. You are scared to go about your daily tasks. You are scared about your family's future. It's not something that you want to do because you think there's going to be better opportunities than America. You can't think about it like that. A lot of people have complained to us saying that it's far to drive, or how are they going to know if they have been accepted? You can't know from the first interview that you are going to be accepted. You have to take this as your chance to get out of South Africa for the safety of you and your family. It's not something that's just convenient.
Yep, that's right. This is about your life is in peril. You cannot get employment, and you're subjected to unjust poverty because of racial discrimination. There's 145 laws. If you can't get a job, you can't get a bursary university. It's pretty easy to do. All right, I don't want to drone on about that. People can come back for the 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. South Africa Refugee Conversation Cafe Clocks if they want to talk about these things. This is your experience. So let's get back to your experience. Okay, so you guys went through interviews. Did you have to get any jabs?
Yes, we did. So, not the COVID jab for everyone that's scared of that. So you do get a flu shot, and then they do deworm you as well. Because
Yeah,
wonderful South Africa.
well, no, they said she was treated like a puppy. I love that. She got dewormed.
Yes. So, and then they give you basically all of the vaccines that you would receive as a child. So they do ask you if you still have your vaccination records from like childhood. If you have them, you don't need to go for these vaccinations again. If it's something that has, so I know for some of the vaccinations, if you still have your vaccination cards, you just need to get a follow-up dose to ensure that you are immune to certain diseases for lifelong immunity. But you will still need to get the flu shot and the deworming. If you have any medical like ailments or illnesses or anything that prevents you from getting those vaccinations, you can just tell them. You can make it clear to them. You can take a doctor's note or whatever the case may be, and they will basically adjust whatever they can give you, or they will try to find an alternative, or but they won't force it on you. It's not something that you have to take the COVID vaccine in order to come over.
Well,
That's
no,
not what it's about.
there's no COVID, but tell you what, you're lucky. You're lucky because if I was there, I'd make you get the jabs. I wouldn't let you in my country if I was in charge. People coming here with measles, mumps, rubella. These illegals coming in now, spreading around plagues in southern Arizona and Texas. But seriously, guys, how did you find out that you were approved? And then what was the next step? Did you get the notice? Was it an email, a phone call? You've been approved. Here's make your plans, or did they ask you when you can go? I mean, yours was a little different because you're the first cohort, and they brought people over in a charter flight. But what was that process like? And I'm guessing there was a sense of relief when you got that message.
Colonel, every day that went by after the last time I can't even say day, every hour that went by after our last interview, that itself felt like an eternity. And we went for the last interview on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and on Thursday we got a phone call to say we were approved. So, and that Thursday is the first day before we flew out of the country. So everything happened super quick for us. We still have a lot of stuff that we just left in South Africa, like our business. We just left it. I left all the stock that I had. Everything I just left and flew out of South Africa. The thing is, if you fear for your life, don't care about the little pennies that you leave behind.
No, that's a good point, and that's the point I'm trying to get across here. So, but I mean, so what was it like? Let me ask Sonja. Was there a sense of relief? Were you pretty excited?
Definitely, can also, it was a big shock. You expect to either receive a yes or no, but as soon as you get your answer, it's still a shock. You immediately, I wouldn't say doubt your choices, but you immediately begin to think about the consequences. So you think about the family you will be leaving behind, your earthly possessions, your house, or whatever the case may be. But then everyone just needs to remember that you have applied for this program for a reason. You are interested for a reason. It's not, of course, it's going to be scary. Of course, there's the fear of the unknown. But you just need to keep in mind you are leaving for a reason. You have an actual reason for wanting to leave. It's not a spur of the moment decision. So you need to, as soon as you get those doubts, you just need to remind yourself that you are moving to a place where you can actually make a living for yourself. You don't have laws that discriminate against you, and that it is some place that you won't be persecuted for your race.
Well, you guys have, well, actually, we used to have laws that discriminate against people. It's called equal opportunity, which is racist and it's been struck down, thankfully. Thankfully, don't have that anymore. But with as white Americans being the vast majority of people, it didn't affect too many people, unfortunately, but still it was wrong. But you guys have touched on something that's, I think, a very important aspect to have a conversation here. And since you guys are so, I don't want this is I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but engaging. That's about it. I was going to say talkative. You're not talkative, but you're engaging. We're having a good conversation here. So you've touched on something that I think is very important that people need to consider here. Look, I've moved all over the world. And every move there's tension, there's stress, there's a lot going on. You've got so many things you got to do, from bills to bank accounts to money to leases to closing this up, closing that up. In your case, unwinding your affairs there. That's normal. But on top of that, you are looking at a situation where you're leaving the known, what you've known, what you've been comfortable with, even if it's been miserable and scary, but what you actually know, the everyday known, to go into the unknown. And you guys did it at a time when people were spreading such absolutely ridiculous hogwash about FEMA tents and you'll starve and everything's so expensive, they'll just abandon you and all of that. And then on top of that, you're being attacked because you're white, and who are you to get to leave the country? Everybody's suffering from crime. But it's not about crime. It's about unjust racial discrimination. So I think you've touched on something here that we really need to tease out with more refugees. The angst, the tension, the stress that comes with, well, this is real. Oh, crap. I'm actually going. And you have that realization. There must be a moment when, I mean, obviously the light bulb has always been on, but when that light bulb goes on, maybe it bursts because so much juice flows through it, unlike ESCOM, when you are like, we're actually going. I mean, was there a moment in your mind that either one of you are like, oh, crap, this is for real. We better get serious?
Yes, definitely, Connell. That was when things started to seem real. Up until then, it was just you applied for a program, you are trying to get through, you are trying to get approved. But when it actually happened, that is when things started to feel like real. Things are actually happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, basically, after our first interview, we were like, okay, me and Sonja, we're going to pray about it. And if we get a second interview, that means the Lord wants us there. So basically, after each step, we just prayed about it. And I can honestly say, I think there's some divine intervention into this, because out of everybody that was contacted back, we were selected. So, and if the Lord brings it to you, you shouldn't be afraid. That's from my perspective. I'm a big believer in God, so I put all my faith in His hands, and that's where we didn't actually have any fear.
Well, let's jump forward to the actual process, which it will not be the same for other people going. People asked a question earlier about, as a third group is for, folks, people are coming over all the time. What? Yeah. We're not announcing it. We're not sending people in groups, so to speak. No. Yeah, it's true. People are coming over all the time. But guess what? Afghans are coming too. So the hate-wanking leftists who are lying about these programs aren't even paying attention to developments. But anyway, so let's jump forward. Okay, so you guys stayed in a hotel before you flew out. By the way, did you guys happen to know about my interview with Thea, or when did you find out about it? Because I think most people didn't find out I did the interview until after you arrived in the States.
Oh, so she actually spoke to us the morning that Sunday morning when we were about to get ready for our last little family meeting, if I can put it like that, with all of the refugees. Just getting basically an update and then a rundown of how the day would go from there. But she actually told us. So we were all very excited. We were all very jealous that we couldn't meet you. We were actually planning on going to your meet and greet in Sanson. But unfortunately, that day we were busy with our medicals, some of our medical stuff that we had to just finish up. So, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just responding to some misinformation somebody's putting over here. Yeah, so you guys knew about that. That's pretty interesting. Well, I mean, if I'd known, you could have all come and joined me in Pretoria East. We could have had a whole crowd there. But anyway, so yeah, so you get to the hotel. I understand there was some security concerns. Some scumbag, leaked to the press that you were at the hotel, and there's some harassment. They had to bring security there, and then you got to the airport and massive harassment there. Were you bothered by the press, or did they bother other people?
No, we were definitely bothered by them. Some of them wouldn't stop taking photos and videos of people's children. So the people that could try to intervene as much as possible, like we tried to shield the children from the photographers, from just people that they were climbing up on some of the equipment and tables and stuff to take photos of the refugees. So some of us did sign waivers, like media waivers, but that was for the press briefing in Dallas. It wasn't for at Dallas Airport. It wasn't for anything at OR Tambo. So that was quite a shock when we just got there. Colonel, we were one of the first shuttles that left the hotel, and when we got to the airport, it was crazy because it was normal. Like there wasn't anyone taking photos. There wasn't any media whatsoever. We approached one of the people that was working there, and our escort from the uh, let's just say our American escort. He spoke to the one of the ladies that was working there, and they actually immediately had a very bad attitude towards him, um, and towards everyone that was accompanying him. So it wasn't a very nice situation to be in, and at the start he told them it was a chartered flight, but they still insisted on seeing our visas, and he kept on telling them, but we don't need visas, it's a chartered plane. So they had quite a like a bad attitude there. I don't know if they were aware of anything, but they definitely started to realize something was going on pretty quickly. We then left the gate to go and exchange a little bit of money. So, bad idea.
Yeah,
Bad
no,
idea.
they take a third of your money at the airports. Never change money in an airport.
Yes. And as soon as, because we, as well, they asked us there for our plane tickets, in order to exchange. I don't know if it's a requirement everywhere, but they did require us to actually show them our boarding, I think our plane tickets or our boarding passes, to actually exchange currency for us. So when we show them that, they immediately just had a bad attitude as well. Then they suddenly needed an address in America. Otherwise, they couldn't exchange money for us. So we just left that there, went back to the group. And when we got back to the group, it was media everywhere. Like there was people running through the airport just to actually go and take photos of the refugees. They were pushing people out of the way just to be able to take a photo of these. I don't know. We honestly felt like celebrities, but not in a good sense.
You felt like Jay-Z.
They hounded you.
They hounded you. Yeah, no, I could see that, and we had a lot of complaints about that. That was so unacceptable. So you got on the plane, which was a 767, as a charter plane, generously paid for by a private donor, not the U.S. government. The lies there too, we had to correct. That flight with about 59, and half of them are kids, some small kids, in fact. But the thing seats a few hundred people, so there must have been a lot of empty space on that plane. Did you just stretch out and get some rest?
There definitely was. We all were very, very appreciative of the fact that we had space, because flying that far, and it was funny because it was both of our first times flying. We have never been on a plane before that plane. So it was very, very frightening. I'm scared of heights. So I must say, I actually made a joke about it on the plane as well. The kids made it bearable for me because
Oh,
as soon as the plane took off, like all the children just burst out laughing.
okay.
And yes, I don't know why it was so 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 funny. So it actually made it very bearable. And I must say, like the pilots we had two pilots for that trip. That both they were wonderful. They gave us the warmest welcome. I think at that moment we actually realized like you are safe. It was a very strange feeling to set in. I think leaving Owatambo was, you just feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. We keep on making the joke while we are this side that it feels like a holiday that is, you know, when it's your last day or your second last day of a holiday and you know you have to fly out, you have to go home. This feels like that. Like for the first 2 weeks, it felt like that every single day. Like it feels like you're gonna have to go back to South Africa. You're gonna have to go back to those circumstances, and it's such a relief when you wake up the next morning and you're like, "Oh, we're still here." So that was a big shock, I think, to your system as well. But in all honesty, I don't. I don't think there's anything to describe the feeling. As soon as we landed in America, it was like you could feel just the tension on the plane. It felt like we were waiting for the next shoe to drop. Like someone's gonna jump
Like it
out and
wasn't really going to happen. You're going to be pulled back into the airport.
yes, that was exactly what it felt like. So when we were actually waiting to board the plane, it was a little bit delayed. So we were all seated there, waiting. And the funniest thing is there was a few rows of empty seats between the 59 of us and like the next group of people waiting to board their flight. It felt like a division, if I can put it like that. So like these people stare at you and they try and take photos of you, but they don't, like, no one approaches you, which felt nice but scary as well because you feel like someone's going to jump out from like behind this door and they're going to be like, oh, sorry, you can't go anymore. Or, oh, sorry, we were just joking with you. So, we were just seeing how far we could actually like get you to do this, but now you can't go anymore. So that was a real feeling as well. But when we could see like American soil from the window of the plane, I think that was when things started to actually, like, everyone was just like trying to find the window seats and just staring out of the windows to actually like see America. So when we landed and we were greeted on the plane by officials. That was very, very nice. They welcomed us to America. And it was funny because when we were actually seated inside of the airplane hangar that we did the press briefing in, they were handing out like juice boxes for the kids and waters, and like they had refreshments there because it was such a long flight. Even though people think we didn't receive any food on the plane, which is also not correct. We were well looked after. Um, but when we finally got there, I actually made a joke with, it was actually with Herman that was on your show as well. So I told him, in all honesty, I would be scared to drink water that I receive from our government, from the ANC. I would be scared they're like trying to poison you. But the thing that was the most funny to me is I was speaking in Afrikaans to him, and there was actually a lady that I'm not sure if she works with USCIS or if she was just there for maybe a little bit of support if someone needed it. But she actually spoke fluent Afrikaans. So she told me, don't worry, the water isn't poisoned. So I was mortified. I was like,
So I've got to tell you, Sonja, you got to be very careful here. Less so where you're at right now; it's less common. But in big cities in America and in the UK, you got to be careful. People think they can speak Afrikaans, and I've been on the tube, and somebody was talking Afrikaans. They said something stupid, and I interject in Afrikaans, and their jaw dropped. There's a lot of people more people speak Afrikaans than people realize.
no, definitely. We didn't expect it at the airport when you just land. So that was quite funny to us. But also a very nice person, a wonderful, lovely soul. You can just see that that person really wanted to make you feel as comfortable as possible. But I think that's something a lot of people don't realize as well is on Facebook and on WhatsApp groups, on X, a lot of people make very rude comments towards the program taking long or what they assume is long in Afrikaans. And people must just remember this is the American government. They're not going to let a language barrier keep them from actually doing their research into you, going on your socials and stuff like that, seeing what you post, because that's also a real thing that people need to understand. This isn't a holiday. You're not just coming over here. They must go into your background, see if you are safe, if you are going to be a threat to the American people. They can't bring you over and then you are promoting a bunch of like threats or
racism or stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's one of the things I've emphasized at the very beginning. So someone, I was a visitor earlier, said that this is taking too long, only 59 people. That's factually untrue. The program officially opened on May 12th. That's not even 6 weeks ago. That's actually 5 weeks ago and a few days. That's when the program opened. And nobody in this conversation knows how many people have come over since the program started. But you can expect that unless it was people in the first cohort that were interviewed, the first 100 people that were interviewed with you, the odds of anybody coming over since then would have been very low because it takes time to do background investigations. I remember this whole process. Oh my gosh, on this side, these people are coming over. They're not vetted in the South African government. We didn't vet them. We don't care what you do, South African government. This is about our safety, not yours. You can shove that. So, they were not vetted. It took 3 months from the 10th of February when the first emails started arriving until you guys came over here. So we did vetting on a limited number of people, and that takes time. So the people who sent their statement of interest in on May 12th, some have been called and have gone in for interviews. I can confirm this for a fact. But their backgrounds are being investigated now. And when that's done and it's satisfactory, then they'll get called back in. But there will probably be a gap because it will take time from flash to bang, to use military terminology, using grenade, flash to bang, because that's a distance you throw, grenade, and you're off in a distance. It takes time for the sound to travel. Anyway, it takes time from flash to bang when you pop that grenade and interview these people and start researching them before you can send them. And since there's probably going to be a gap here, people just need to be cognizant and understanding that this isn't taking a long time. And that's the first thing. Then I'll say, and this will piss some people off, but they're just going to have to get over it because it's your problem, not mine. We don't have to take anybody. This is our generosity. If you don't like how long the program's taken, apply to Australia, apply to Ireland, apply to UK. See if they're that generous. That's the ingratitude of people moaning about how long this is taking. On February 6th, Sonja, did you have any hope whatsoever getting out of the horrible situation you're in, or you just resigned to life in South Africa?
So definitely not, Colonel. So we have looked into immigrating in the past, but anyone that has looked into that knows it is extremely, extremely expensive. The normal, just everyday South African can't afford to do that. So in reality, we didn't have any option or any opportunity to leave South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that's so frustrating for me. It's like we give billions of dollars to save people from dying HIV, and when we get called names. We feed people in Zimbabwe for 20 years and we get lied about. And it's the same thing here. This generous program, people are moaning. And here's the other thing for South Africans. President Trump suspended the entire program globally on the 20th of January. Then just days later on the 7th of February, he created a program for you South Africans. and people looking a gift horse in the mouth, moaning about how long it's taking. If it takes 2 years, it takes 2 years. I know people have been trying to get out of South Africa and immigrate for 15 years and can't do it because they can't afford it. And they don't have the skills to go to places like New Zealand where they'll take people with certain skills. So, people really need to be patient here. And if they're not patient, then look elsewhere. No one owes you anything. This culture of entitlement and expectation really needs to stop. And that's going to sound crass and cold, but it's not. It's not. It's just a statement of reality here. So anyway, you guys are still with me there. You're still listening, right?
Yes, definitely, Colonel. No, that is definitely the truth. I think a lot of people need to understand what is at risk. So it's not just that President Trump can do whatever he pleases. They must just remember he also has to look after the American people. He can't just say, okay, tomorrow we are flying out 100,000 Afrikaners or 100,000 minority. A group of the minorities. You can't do that. Everyone needs to be vetted. It's a process you have to go through. A lot of people that I've noticed as well have not complained, but they have an issue with the fact that they will have to get vaccinations again and stuff like that. You need to understand something. You're coming here as a refugee. You aren't a citizen. You don't, yes, you have the same rights as a citizen does as soon as you arrive here, except the fact that you can't vote.
Right.
But when you are still in South Africa and you are applying for the program, it's going to sound very mean, and I don't mean it in a mean way. I mean it in a very, I just want people to understand, is that if you are really fleeing a country for your safety, you aren't going to be concerned about having to get a flu vaccination.
Exactly.
You aren't going to be concerned about getting a vaccination for measles or mumps or rubella. It's honestly, if you are that scared, or if that's something that's concerning to you, then honestly, I don't know if you are as scared about your safety as it would seem.
Yep. And let me address something else here, guys. Nick said, but waiting for months does not equate very well with being under immediate threat for your life. In this regard, this program seems a bit strange. Nick, your understanding of what's going on here is completely false. Completely false. Where does it say in the executive order that you're under immediate threat to your life? It doesn't. It says suffering from unjust racial discrimination. That's not urgent. Also, refugees who go through this program, who spend months and years waiting. People are complaining about waiting 6 weeks. There are Somalians sitting in Kenya that have been there for 15 years waiting to go to Ireland, the U.S., or something like that. You are being granted refugee status based on unjust racial discrimination. And you're being granted in country. You don't even have to flee your country. But you're complaining about it. I don't understand this. Those refugees have fled to a safe haven, and they still have to wait forever. We have to do background checks on you. We have to go through processing. Our government has a responsibility to protect our nation and our citizens and our national security. And we've had previous administrations that have failed to do that. So if you don't like the process, if you think it's too long and you've waited all of 6 weeks, my goodness. Gosh, I had to wait 4 months to find out if I got approved to enter university when I was in high school. Anyway, look, I don't mean to sound uncaring, but I mean, if it's too long, if it's too much, if you misunderstand the program, then don't apply. Don't send a statement of interest. Stay in South Africa. I didn't ask anybody to come here, and I didn't ask anybody not to come here. That's my take, Ernst. Do I sound callous and cold?
No, Colonel. The thing is, Afrikaans people are some of the most impatient people you can find on this planet. We are the majority causes of road rage as well, because you always put foot in the hook of your Hilux bucky and you just want to fight off people on the roads if you can't reach your destination quick enough. Really, this is the time that you have to be patient.
Yeah.
It's exactly like you say, there's a little fear of your life in South Africa, but the main thing that a program is about is being discriminated against.
Exactly. That's what the program is exactly about. That's why when Cyril Ramaphosa and his clown car show go to the Oval Office and say, but everyone's a victim of crime, it's not germane. Going in and telling your story about how you've been a victim of crime will tell a narrative about what's happened to you. And especially if you know it's based on race, like the white women I know that have been raped specifically because they're white. That is definitely racial discrimination, racial persecution. But crime isn't a justification for coming here. For anybody, for an Afrikaner, for a color, for an Indian, for a black South, it's not a justification. That's not why you get refugee status. You get it because unjust racial discrimination. Okay, guys, let me shift this topic real quick back here about something else. Okay, so this is a question I've never really asked of folks, but you guys are engaging, so I want to ask you. I have a friends who flew from the Western Cape up to Pretoria to do their interview, and I didn't ask this question of them because they're people of means, and so I wasn't, I figured they just took care of themselves. But when you go for your interview, if you have to stay overnight, I presume that's probably at your own expense, and your transportation there is all at your own expense. Is that a fair statement, or do they reimburse you or provide transportation and accommodation? I don't think they do. What's the story?
Okay, also, traveling back and forth and accommodation, you're gonna have to cover yourself. Uh, if I can give people advice, I would say make friends in Pretoria if you can. Visit family there or see how close you can get to Pretoria. But unfortunately, you're gonna have to cover that yourself. It's the exact same with the passport. The fees for the passports, they aren't gonna reimburse you for that. They expect you to at least be able to find a way to pay for that. I don't think people understand if you are scared for your life or if you are scared of persecution, even if you have to sell something, old clothes, if you have to sell something that you aren't using anymore, you're going to find a way.
Sorry, I was paused there. I was trying to write a message. There's an attorney that's in the conversation. If I could just distract for a second here. I think her name is Jane. Is that what it is? She was in here just a moment ago. From Maryland. Yeah, it's Jane. Is it Jamie? I'm sorry. Sorry, Jamie. Jamie Heather, who's got it looks like a doctorate in law. So Jamie, I'm not contradicting what you're saying there, and this is for everybody to understand this. The reason I've emphasized the unjust racial discrimination, that's not the only basis for granting refugee status. People should not infer that I didn't say that. Please go tell Shelley Hepburn I didn't say that, because she'll lie about that. No, in the case of South Africa, what's that?
Shelley who?
In the case of South Africa, the executive order specifically calls it unjust racial discrimination. That is a condition. There are other reasons why people be granted refugee status. They can be victims of crime, but the point here is that the reason Trump did it, he spelled it out in his executive order. He picked that particular reason, which is covered under the Immigration Nationality Act of 1980, and he's allowed to do that. That's why I'm focusing on it, because South African politicians and media will lie about this, Jamie, and twist this and say everyone's a victim of crime. Because, or why do farmers get to go? Why do white? See, you got to understand, this is all politics in South Africa, and it's being used to rubbish a group of people, further evidence of discrimination and persecution. So farmers, why do farmers get to go? It's not for farmers. Why do Afrikaners get to go? It's not for Afrikaners. How come white people? It's not for white people. Well, everyone's a victim of crime. You see, these are the hoops that they're going through. So, Jamie, I'm not contradicting you. I just make clear to everybody, the reason I focus on that is because that was what's explicitly stated in the executive order as his basis for creating this program for South Africans. Because I was asked this question by a Dutch film crew at the Open Plus meet and greet when 300 people came to my event there. And they caught me going out and they said, so what gives President Trump the right to take white people from South Africa? And I said, first off, it's not about white people. You're wrong. And the guy looked at me with a snicker on his face because he's a typical leftist media person from Europe. And I said, it's not about white people. It includes ethnic minorities, racial minorities. And he just kind of snickered. And he says, yeah, but what gives him the right? I said, well, the Immigration Nationality Act of 1980 gives him the right. And he just had a dumbfounded look on his face like he didn't have to respond. That's what gives him the right. It's law in the U.S. Hang on. Jamie says, I'm not talking about what you said. Oh, okay, thanks, Jamie. I saw something. The problem is trying to do an interview and talk to people and do the chat. Sometimes I miss things. Thank you, Jamie. I think I saw earlier you're an attorney in Maryland. That's interesting. Feel free to reach out to me, Jamie. I'd love to chat with you sometime. My email address is on the account. One of the mods can share my email address. Sorry about that, Sonja and Ernst. I got a little distracted there, but it's important to make that point because we see what the media has done in South Africa with all those narratives I just talked about. Every one of them is a lie. The reason he did it was because of unjust racial discrimination. Did you guys feel unjustly racially discriminated against?
Definitely, Colonel. So we have experienced a lot of racism in South Africa. We have been called every name in the book. I actually spoke to you on your live before we even received a call back, and explains here as well that I have even been called in our business that we had. I won't use the profanity, but just white racist little yes, profanity again. Because I couldn't speak Pedi.
Well, I'm sorry. There's about 100,000 people who speak Pedi. So, yeah, at a country of 63 million. I'm embellishing. Please don't fact check me, okay?
No, we have been.
Wait a second. Wait a second. I think you told us where you're from for the smart people.
I think you can't, if you are a minority in South Africa, I think it's going to be difficult to find an instance where you have not been discriminated against. Honestly, a lot of people that are stressing about, I can't prove persecution. If you honestly think back about it, I promise you, you have faced at least one form of being discriminated against for your race.
Oh, I'm sure. And here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. A lot of people are worried about this. I haven't been a victim of a crime. It doesn't matter. I'm not a farmer. It doesn't matter. I'm not white. I'm colored. Doesn't matter. All those things, that I just said don't matter for you getting this refugee status. But I don't have a good story. Well, you shouldn't have any story. You should just have the truth. Yeah, but I've never been persecuted. Well, do you have a legitimate fear? I mean, if I lived in South Africa, I'd have a legitimate fear that I have to turn over my business equity to someone if I had more than 50 employees based on their skin pigmentation. That's a legitimate fear. I mean, you can't have a business where you just have to give away your equity that you've earned. I mean, that's racial discrimination. So, folks, the barrier is not nearly as high as you keep freaking out about. Just be calm, tell the truth, be upfront with people, and there you go. And here's the bottom line. If you don't get it, then you don't get it. But I'm not aware of anyone who's been rejected yet that I'm aware of. No one's contacted me and said they've been rejected, and I've been able to prove that they're legitimate. So anyway, I wouldn't lose sleep over this. I think Sonja, a lot of people are giving themselves undue stress, but I blame my government in part because my government has been reticent to share, I think, necessary information about what's going on, and it's caused some of this problem. But also, I'm not going to let Afrikaners off the hook. You folks are some of the biggest conspiracy theory, and everything is going to go woe is me crowd in the world. And I think all of that plays into what's going on here.
No, definitely, Colonel. That is a huge part of the problem. And I think that people lend themselves or their ears out to a lot of stories as well. People that they listen to people that, as I said before, they don't have any actual idea about the program. You can't just listen to every second person you meet on the streets. We have had family contact us that ask if we are okay because of the ICE raids. I don't know how we suddenly became illegals, but yes. So there's stories going around that ICE is busy in Los Angeles because of the refugees, which is completely false. You are legally in America. You have a permit to work. You get documentation before you get on your flight to prove that you are legally in America.
Exactly. That's the thing. So this is why. So that goes back to, and let me ask you guys. I'll frame this and then I ask you because you watch my videos. You've been watching since before this refugee stuff. So from the very outset here, when I went to USCIS and also looked up the Immigration Nationality Act on the evening of the 7th of February to refresh my knowledge of that, not something I spend every day focused on because I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV either. But so I went refreshed. I pulled up all the stats. I showed the comparison, and I put it on the screen between asylum and refugee status because I know asylum cases are very low. Very few people get accepted for it. Plus, the Biden administration illegally used the asylum process to import millions of people here illegally and perverted the whole system. So anyway, I said, okay, here's asylum, here's refugee status. And I went through it and I showed all the advantages. Refugee status, you pay nothing. When you apply for permanent residency, you pay nothing as a refugee, whereas other people pay thousands of dollars. You need no attorneys. You pay no fees. You get a visa, essentially, to work in America immediately, whereas an asylum seeker, the earliest they could possibly get to work in America after they've claimed asylum is 6 months minimum, and sometimes it takes much longer than that. So the advantages are there, and I said that from the very beginning. Did you guys actually, is that anything that impacted your decision, or had you already made your decision when I talk about those things?
And also, we have actually followed along on some platforms, South Africans that have come over as asylum seekers. And I know Jason Bartlett is one of them, someone we followed closely. And um, I see there is a lot of people that are like, the program is taking too long. Let's rather just go to America and then apply for asylum. It's not the same thing. People need to understand we have actually met people who have sought asylum here, and they, as you said, they can't work. They legally cannot work. They have been here for 4 months and they can't work. They're not allowed to work. The process that they have followed has been very expensive for them. And at the end of the day, some of them have to go back to the countries they are fleeing from because financially they can't sustain a life here and not be able to work. So people must just be very cautious of that avenue. If you are wealthy enough that you will be able to come over to America, seek asylum, and be able to pay for lawyers and to travel back and forth and not be able to work for an extended amounts of time while still being able to afford rent and food and necessities, then by all means be our guest. Come, we will have a bribe, but you will just be paying for it since we are refugees and you are asylum seeker, which clearly has a lot of money in the bank, if you can afford that. But if you have any sense to you, I think don't listen to anyone that promotes that. Because with the refugee program, it doesn't cost you anything. So you don't have to pay for the interviews. You don't have to pay to get a lawyer or attorney
Or the
to
medical
plead your
screening,
case.
or the immunizations.
No, not at all.
Yep.
So all of that is covered. If you, so we actually spoke about it before we were even approved. Just the medicals with the vaccinations, the blood work, the X-rays, all of that would have set us back for well over 10,000 rand.
Oh, and good.
Because you will,
at least,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, and that's per person. It's not like for a family or for two people. That's per person. Like everything they go through with you there for the like the basic checkup, and then the blood work alone that would have set you back around 10,000. That's excluding the X-rays, excluding the flu shots, all
Chest
the vaccinations.
X-ray for tuberculosis, latent and active
Yes.
tuberculosis, yeah, all that stuff. So, guys, let me ask this question, because this is one that's important, I think, too, because a lot of people are focused on when they get here. And we already know, all right, it's no secret, Charles Kleinhans has arrived in Buffalo, where the BBC falsely claimed that they interviewed the first refugee. Liars. Anyway, and then he moved elsewhere in the country. And I'm not outing him. It's in the press. It's on Marola Media. It says he's in South Dakota. So he's already moved somewhere. And you're moving to another location. When you leave where you're currently at, where you've been settled by the U.S. with a representative from a refugee assistance agent, are you going to lose that support, or are you able to contact someone in your new destination and pick up someone over there, or is that support gone?
Can also, there's two different ways you can go about it. You can either contact an agency where you are moving to, and just inquire from them if they have any availabilities, any open spots that they can assist you with. Because all of these agencies, they're only allowed to take in a certain amount of refugees or certain amounts of families, because that is the assistance that they receive.
Well, that comes back to the point I've made all along, why people go to certain places, because it's about absorptive capacity. The NGOs can only handle so many people.
That is the truth. So you can inquire if they have any availabilities for you, and then you can move there. There is one setback of that is you have to move within a certain amount of weeks. So that will differ from state to state as well. So you can't up and leave on your third month of assistance and then expect you're going to get 3 new months of assistance in the state you are moving to. So people just need to take that into consideration. But they will assist you with housing over there if they have any availabilities for you. So you'll still receive the same assistance that you are currently receiving. But if you are outside of that allotted time frame, you will have to move on your own. You will be left to your own vices, basically. So you'll still get assistance in the form of food stamps, of Medicaid, and then of dental and stuff like that. But you will need to apply
I don't
on
have
your own
dental.
behalf.
I don't have dental. 36 and a half year veteran. I don't have dental, and refugees get dental. Isn't that nice?
It is definitely so. A lot of people that complain about the assistance, I think they need to take that into consideration as well. So the refugees are really well looked after. So if you decide to move and you don't receive the assistance of a new agency, our agency was very kind. They are willing to assist us with any paperwork we still need to complete or anything we still need to do. So they are willing to give us that assistance. But we are basically leaving without assistance. So the job opportunity we have received, they supply housing to us. So it's not such a big risk, if I can put it like that. But all other assistance will be cut. They won't pay for any rent, any utilities, or anything like that. So it is a risk that we are taking, but we are willing to take that risk. And I think a lot of people will be surprised the benefits that you get with some of the companies here. Not all of them. You will need to do your research, but some of the companies do offer quite a nice package. Some companies also offer like a partial medical or full medical coverage, and then like a 401k and vision and dental plans and stuff like that. So that's also a very nice pro that some of the companies here have that you don't really get in South Africa. So I think people just need to do the research before they decide to make the move. But we are, as I said, we are going without assistance. So we will be leaving all refugee assistance behind.
Okay, I'm going to get to back in a second, but I got to jump in something over here. Okay, folks, there's discussion going on over here in the chat about legal things. Okay, yes, we don't make laws based on race, but race isn't the issue here, okay? It isn't race. The issue here is persecution, which is what the law says. And the basis for persecution, which is clearly identified in the Immigration and Nationality Act, includes faith, sexual orientation, ethnic origin, and race are all considered. So the issue is persecution. People quit parsing over language here. It's about persecution. I said unjust racial persecution. The fact that I said racial doesn't matter. I could have said unjust religious persecution. I could have said unjust ethnic origin persecution. It's persecution. Enough of the stuff. Enough. Okay, so Ernst and Sonja. So you guys have been there for 5-6 weeks, and you've learned how to drive on the correct side of the road. Okay, right?
On the right side.
That's right, on the correct side. Okay.
Yes.
Seriously. So you've got a vehicle, you've got settled there, you've got your Social Security numbers, you've got bank accounts, I presume, already in order to do things, and you are comfortable enough after just 5 or 6 weeks to pick up stakes without that comfort blanket of the Refugee Assistance Program to move to another state in America. What the heck are you? Trek boars, Americans? What's going on here?
Even the guy at the bank is like, you guys have already hacked America. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. Colonel, another thing I want to give the people some advice on, how to get your money over. So the cheapest way to get your money over is to open a Capitec account in South Africa, because the transfer costs on Capitec account will be the cheapest. So they only charge a certain amount of money to transfer your money from South Africa to your American bank account. So if you guys carry cash with you, wait until you are in America to cash in your or to exchange your rands to dollars, because at the airports it's crazy expensive. The exchange rate is 2 22 rand to $1 at the airport. So that's a big amount of money to pay. So wait until you have a bank account before you changing your cash to dollars. But if you want to transfer your money from South Africa to your American bank account, open a Capitec account in South Africa. They are the cheapest.
And there's other options. You can have a PayPal account. You can have a Wise account. There's other options, folks. I had a financial analyst who was a financial planner who was going to help out on here, but someone attacked them and threatened their business, so they backed out. So that's a person that could have told us from a financial standpoint that understands. But what you say is true. It's a way to do it. Another thing about this is, again, don't change money at airports. That doesn't matter whether you're in Schiphol or Charles de Gaulle or Franz Josef Strauss Airport in Munich or at OR Tambo or at Dulles. It's all bad. They take a ton of money from you there. As far as someone asked earlier if they can take money out of their South African bank, yes, you can. If you have ATM service on your account back in South Africa, you'll get dollars out of the machine. But that all depends on your bank and its relationship, whether there's a fee associated with it or not. I mean, I don't use ATMs, but in your case, it'd probably work. But that's not going to be a long-term solution. That'll just help you for the short term. So you're going to have to get U.S. bank accounts, and you can't get those until you have Social Security numbers. So once you got a Social Security number, you can get those. Guys, we probably should wrap up, although I'm loving this conversation. I don't mean to chase you away, but let me ask this question of both of you. So, I never did ask if you had kids. I didn't ask that. You don't have to answer that question if you don't want to. But what are you most excited about now? Are you excited about the move to the new location and the job opportunity? Or just, I don't know, maybe you're looking forward to going to a baseball game or going to a national park or, I don't know, going on a road trip? What do you both, each of you, and we'll start with Ernst. What's the thing you're looking forward to, you're excited about right now?
I'm definitely excited to move to the new state, but we don't have kids. To answer your question, and I'm excited to raise a kid in America. That's what I'm excited about. Seeing my kid being brought up in a place where he doesn't have to fear for his life or her life.
Well, that's a very good. Both those are good answers. What about you, Sonja?
Can also definitely excited for the road trip. As you said, it's quite a distance to travel, so I think that's going to be very, very fun to experience. Our first American road trip, we will definitely be documenting that. So I think the biggest thing for me is be able to. I think a lot of women will be able to identify with it more, is to be able to be safe alone. So I can walk in our building, I can walk down the streets, and I'm safe being a woman alone, which I would never have even considered that in South Africa, if I'm being honest. And then just the difference, the change in how we have already realized that you think you are fine in South Africa. You think you are living a normal life. But as soon as you get here and you realize, you will think for a while, Americans are crazy because they're so laid back. But if you actually sit down and look at your surroundings, you realize this is how it's supposed to be. This is how life is supposed to be. You don't have to be scared, checking all your windows are locked, all your doors are locked. You see that your alarm system is activated and stuff like that. So I think the safety for me is one thing that I would not take for granted, and that I would actually, I'm definitely excited to see how it will change my views on life as a person.
Well, that's excellent advice there, and a great point to think. And I think for women, that's really especially important. Excuse me, Sonja, to clear my throat. I think it's especially important for women because, as I've said, many people in South Africa, black, white, and brown, don't realize that they have post-traumatic stress disorder, that they're living in a fearful world. Even if they don't feel fearful, they're doing things that normal people don't do. Checking things obsessively, looking over your shoulder, making decisions not to go here, not to go there, not to move at this time of day. Those are things you shouldn't have to deal with. That's not life. That's imprisonment. And I suppose, Sonja, in some ways, as a South African woman who's come to America as a refugee, you probably feel like you've been pardoned and released from prison.
Definitely, Colonel. So it's actually funny because we were walking down the street and someone was walking behind us, and I kept looking over my shoulder, seeing is this someone that is a threat against my life? And in actual fact, it was just someone that was jogging. So I think that was the scariest part. Someone is running up behind you, and you immediately, your first thought is, this is someone that wants to put my life in danger. It's not someone that's just going about their day, because that's what you are used to. You are so in that mindset of you have to always be careful. You have to be cautious of where you go, what time of day you go. You can't go to a shop at night because it's too dangerous. You can't park far away from an entrance of a shop because you most likely will get robbed or mugged or threatened. Or so it's strange, but it's a welcome change. So I think a lot of people will have to get accustomed to that. I know it has taken us quite a while. And post traumatic stress disorder is definitely a thing you have to be aware of. You are going to feel completely out of your element over here. It's going to feel like you don't belong because people will look at you strangely because you have to. What our caseworker was actually shocked because every time we get out of his vehicle, we were like, "Did you lock the doors?" And he's like, "Why? Why?"
Yeah, no, I got exactly where you're coming from there. It's very much the case. It's anyway. It's just so many things I want to say about that, but I'm not gonna get into it. But you make a very valid point here, and I think people need to appreciate that and realize that it's a very different world over here than it is there. Excuse me. Very different world there. Well, guys, I'm going to apologize for my audience. I didn't get to see your faces. I can't confirm that Ernst is devastatingly handsome for a boer, but he's not a boer, but he's going to become one now. Devastatingly handsome fellow. And Sonja's not bad looking herself. So sorry you can't see them, but we're protecting their identity for now. Guys, I want to give you the floor for last comments. We'll start with Ernst and then Sonja. Anything you want to share with people. And then we're going to wrap up. I'll ask both of you to stay on the Zoom session. I'm going to put you in the waiting room, and then I'm going to wrap up for a couple minutes. I want to chat with you for just a minute or two after I go off air. For the rest of the audience, you'll be redirected to the news broadcast, which is now 55 minutes tardy because we've had a Leka conversation here. And I'll do an abbreviated news program because at 2 p.m., which is 8 p.m. South African time, we have the Refugee chat session. All right, so Ernst, any final thoughts or words, advice, or whatever you want to say, if you want to compliment people or thank people or whatever you want to say, and then the floor is yours for a couple moments, then we'll give it to Sonja.
Colonel, I think Sonja will do most of the thanking, but I just want to say something in Afrikaans to the people that are watching your show. So mense, rarig, julle gaan moet begin met mekaar staan, hou op mekaar afkraak as Afrikaners, begin bietjie vir mekaar uitkyk. Ons volk kan nie saam staan en dit is 'n groot probleem. Julle moet regtig begin julle sokkies optrek en vir mekaar uitkyk en help mekaar eerder as om mekaar af te breek. You guys have to stop breaking each other off.
Yeah, you have to stand some. Yeah, you have to stand some as a community.
Stand some.
Yep, I agree with you. All right. Surprise. I understood what you said. Ha ha. Sonja, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Colonel. I think I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to thank you for all the information that you have given everyone, the time that it has taken out of your life, out of your daily life, just to be there for the South African people. I don't think anyone actually understands how much you have actually done for us. It is incredible. We can't thank you enough. Without you, I think it would be total chaos. In all honesty, if we were left to our own devices, I think the program would have honestly been shut down long ago because, as you know, we are very impatient and we want everything done now. So I think we would have insulted a lot of people by now. But with your guidance and your help, I think there has at least been, our questions have been answered and we have been put to rest. Our fears, anxiety, I think as soon as people start listening, and not just hearing, but listening to what you have to say, I think they will find that their anxiety and stress levels go down dramatically. I know a lot of people will think it's easy to say because we are already this side in America, but something I don't think they understand is all of our family, we didn't have any family that came over with us. So all of our family are still left in South Africa. And that's what a lot of people have to take into consideration as well. Yes, we are here, we are safe. But what about our family? So I promise you, we feel for everyone that's still left there. And I think people need to start thinking as well what they post on social media. If you post in English or in Afrikaans, doesn't matter. Just be mindful of what you post. And be careful who you listen to. Don't just trust anyone on any group, on any Facebook platform or anything like that. Go to a reliable source. And I can't stress enough how we have found everything that we need on your YouTube channel. There wasn't any question that was left unanswered, in all honesty. So, if I can stress anything to the people that still want to partake in the program, or people that are just honestly curious about the program, your best bet is going to be Colonel Chris Wyatt. You can't go wrong there. So, and then something as well is just a piece of hope to the people. Um, it's I know a lot of people say it's expensive in America, and yes, definitely there's a big change. But if you take basic stuff, so we converted, if you buy pasta in America versus South Africa, you actually pay less in America. So there is definitely uh, differences in prices, but also depending on where you shop, it's not that expensive as everyone makes it out to be. And your choices will greatly affect your financial situation. So just keep that in mind. But in all honesty, I can't thank you enough, Colonel. You have really made it a lot easier and more assuring program for all of us.
Well, thank you so much. Bye bye, donkey, to both of you. G. Sawyer a few moments ago said perhaps the colonel is an Afrikaner in a past life. He's recht. Ek is Koos Delarey, die Leon van de West-Transvaal. So, just in case you didn't know that. Except this time I kept my hair on top when I got older. No, but seriously. Michelle Kravaga just said, please interview the colored couple. I don't have contact with them. I believe they're very private, and I'll respect their privacy. However, if they're listening,
They are not even on the WhatsApp group.
yeah, I think they just want their privacy. If they're listening and they would like to be interviewed in the same fashion, I'm happy to interview them. And the crux won't be about being colored. The crux will be about being a refugee and and qualifying for the program. But obviously, some people ask questions. But again, the program is not for Afrikaners. It's not for white people. It's not for farmers. It's for South Africans who are of Afrikaner ethnicity or racial minorities suffering from unjust racial persecution. Okay, guys, I'm going to ask you to drop in. I'm going to put you in the waiting room, and then hang on and let me wrap up, okay?
100%, Colonel.
Thank you, Colonel.
All right, let me put them in the waiting room, and then they're going to wait there for just a couple minutes on me. Put in waiting room. Okay, folks, that's going to wrap it up here from a rather long broadcast. It was epic. I enjoyed. We had a lot of fun at the beginning here, joking about the FEMA tents and all the nonsense that's been, the misinformation that's been out there. Folks, don't argue in the chat with each other. There's no need for that. And no one should take offense at my comments when I'm responding to things, because I've been asked these questions almost every. I've only come across 2 or 3 questions in the past week that I've never been asked in the past 4 or 5 months. So thank you for your patience. I do the news every day, and now I'm behind an hour on the news, but I will do the news because people tune in for the news. You'll be automatically redirected to the news from this broadcast if you want to hang around. There's 1,900 of you still here. Hopefully we'll still have a fair number. And then after that, the refugee program, you'll be redirected to that at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 8 o'clock in South African time. We'll be talking about any questions. I'll answer them as best I can, like I do every Sunday for the past couple weeks. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Thanks to my guest. That would, of course, be That would be, well, we're calling them Ernst and Sonja. Lovely people. Thank you all so much, you guys. We'll see you in just a couple minutes. Give me a 5-minute break for the news, okay? We got to hit the loo, and that's too much information. And take care of a few other things and get another drink and say goodbye to those guys. Okay, guys, that's it. Cheers. That didn't work out. My Zoom is in the wrong place. Hang on. Zoom got moved. Okay, here we go. Now we can do it. That was messed up.